welcome to Synthaholics. This is your host, David Duncan, and with me is co-host Brian, and we've got returning guest. It's been way too long, Jeff. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much, sir. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I was here, I think, 6 months ago with Picard finale.
We
I
did
think
the
it was last time I
Picard
was here.
finale. It's almost I think it was like a year-ish ago. I think it was like December-ish.
Oh, was it that long ago? Okay,
Yeah.
Let's say yes. I'll believe you. Sure, why not?
About a year. But
I believe you. I'm on board.
We've had you on several times. I did a couple single episodes of other series. Yeah. So since we're your first time on, now that we're more like a everyday kind of like general geekdom
right.
Show. And so time before last year, Film Dumpster
was our old, it's a little complicated.
We
had with our old name was Film Dumpster. It was a film and entertainment website. We rebranded to Screen Radar. The last time I think I was on is when we just rebranded. So that was because we were kind of moving into streaming as well, which is obviously what this is about, this particular episode. So we moved into streaming and TV, so we wanted to rebrand a little bit. Since then, very recently, and I was the editor of that website, and I'm a co-founder. I've got some recent news. I have just been hired to be the PR coordinator and the exclusive editor for Screen Rant.
That's fantastic. That's awesome news, man. Congrats.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's a lot of I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm a little. It's I'm jumping into the deep end now with the big sharks, but yeah, I'm excited. Next month, a couple weeks I start. So.
Oh, that's fantastic, exciting news.
Yeah, it's gonna be really cool. Have to watch out for your stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm honestly. So I'll be writing for them. I'll be mostly coordinating all the interviews and stuff, but I'll be writing for them as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just excited to have like eyes on the things that I write because I write a lot now and. No one really reads them. Someone will be reading them now, which is nice.
That's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, it's sort of how I feel with Synthaholics. I mean, we got some eyes, but not a ton of eyes. Because Brian wasn't familiar with your website or whatever, I sent him over your interview with Marina Sirtis. So,
it's really funny. She was. I didn't, for some reason, when I go to cons, we used to cover cons all the time. I try to be as prepared as possible. I have a whole list of questions I can keep in my back pocket, and so I have something to talk about these people, and I try to promote stuff they're working on. And for some reason, I didn't get to prep her, and she was available, so I jumped right in, and I was kind of nervous because I had nothing to ask her about. And it was one of my favorite interviews because she was super fun and flirty, and she was a blast. She was so fun. I mean, I've interviewed a handful of Star Trek people, which is great, but she was probably my favorite, actually.
Oh, man, she was your favorite?
Yeah, because she was fun. I mean, I interviewed Shatner.
I thought she was creepy.
Oh, really? I thought she was great. I loved her. Maybe off camera, maybe, I don't know, but she was fun.
I think Brian was weirded out by like the asking of the age, but the thing is,
that really threw me off.
That's absolutely normal, because whenever I moderated Aaron Gray's panel at Nickel City Con, I went up to her and I'm like, "Oh, hey, I'm moderating your panel." She looked at me. I think the first thing she said was, "How old are you?" And the second thing she said is, "Do you even know who I am?"
What is it with the age question?
I accidentally insulted Lou Ferrigno once. He was my first, maybe second interview ever, and I made a comment about his age, how good he looked for his age, because he does. He looks amazing.
Yeah.
But I insinuated that he's old, and he is, but he didn't take into account. And when you have the Hulk mad at you for insulting his age, that's not a position you want to be in.
Yeah, you don't want to. Hulk's mad. It's clobbering Hulk time.
It's clobbering Hulk time.
Yeah, it's funny. Actually, I did interview also Barbara Eden. She did not ask me. I guess her show was a more like Nick at Night was big. So I mean, like, I guess she figured people my age would know her from Nick at Night, because I Dream of Jeannie was always on when I was a kid.
Right, yeah.
Like, so I mean, but Buck Rogers, not so much. I had to track that down. I binge watched that show before
I interviewed Erin Gray as well, and I don't think we ever posted the interview for some reason. It exists somewhere. She was really nice though.
She's super nice, a super nice lady. I really like.
Did she ask your age too?
Yeah, yes. Every interview's like, how old are you?
Yeah, that's the first question you get from the interviewee, because they turn into the interviewer when you look like you're not old enough to talk to them.
Right. Well, and there are also a lot of the actresses we talk to actors are probably 10, 15 years older than me, or maybe 20.
Yeah.
So I think they're trying to judge, how familiar we are with with their work.
Yep.
I interviewed Daisy Duke, who's I'm drawing a blank on her name now, and she was kind of really flirty after the interview. And my friend was like, "Did Daisy Duke just flirt with you?" I'm like, "Yeah,
Wait,
I think
the new Daisy Duke?
No, the Catherine Bach,
The
the
original?
original.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And I'm like, I think so, but I'm like, because I'm probably closer to her age than most of the other people that are here.
Yeah.
Sure. So because.
All right, okay, that you put some validity in me.
So,
you put some validity in
I
me.
mean, like it's really normal for actresses to ask how old you are. It rolls off my off my back. It's. But
before we get into the
Yeah,
review here, guys, I do want to make a really quick. I listened to your episode about Spider-Man No Way Home. Both of you very valid points. I disagree with a lot of them, but they're valid. I liked it a lot more than you guys. But
we liked the movie a lot. We just focused on the negatives because of what it means for the overall
I know
MCU.
you tail ended it with that was great, but
it was. I mean, it was a fun movie on its own in its own little hallway. But with everything else, it is not. It didn't feel great to me.
I'd like to. I recently wrote an article on Screenradar. If you go to screenradar.com, look up Jeff Eller or look up Spider-Man No Way Home. I wrote an article. I firmly believe, and this goes back to a point you guys were talking about, that movie was made specifically to move Spider-Man away from the MCU. I think he no longer has a home in the MCU going forward, and the little traces of it. But I think going forward, maybe the next movie we'll see a little bit more. I doubt it though. They literally severed ties with every, and I think when they finally brokered the deal to make the third film, because it was a big deal. Tom Holland had to talk to them about making and everything. I have a feeling it was with the caveat that okay, but we're going to start shifting because Sony has proven they can make a successful Spider-Man film without Disney's help. They don't need the MCU. Especially after Into the Spider-Verse, they don't need Disney. They don't need the MCU. So I think that was made just specifically to start the transition away. I think we're going to get into Miles. I guarantee they're going to introduce Miles Morales at some point. Tom Holland's already made 6. He's made 6 films already. He doesn't have that many more in him, I'm sure. I think this is the beginning of the end for the MCU for Spider-Man.
I mean,
and I think that's why that film exists.
I think that's right. But the fact that it's unclear from both.
Well, Sony, they might leave it. They might leave it unclear because they're not 100% sure yet.
Right. Of course, they're going to keep us. They're going to keep the carrot dangling in front of us. Of course. Why else?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but the fact that it made it so unclear is what brought the score down for me.
Right.
Because I mean, like with the character being in limbo, it's really annoying.
And one of the things I point out in the article too is that realistically, Peter could approach both Doctor Strange and probably Nick Fury and explain, oh, by the way, I know you guys, and this is what happened. There was a spell, and they'd be like, oh, that makes sense. And they would just continue on with him in the Avengers if they wanted to. So logistically, there's no reason for him not to continue on that side. But they wrote it in a way that indicates that it's not going to happen.
Yeah, well, even at the end, when he met up with MJ and everything, he just decided, like, I'm not going to say who I was.
And for that makes sense within the context of the story because he's protecting them.
Yeah, exactly.
Not going back to the Avengers, not protecting anyone. He's just not doing it. But I don't know. I think that was really just to get him out and it's not an airtight excuse or reasoning or storyline really, but that's the best they came up with.
It makes sense.
I totally am on board with that. I think that's why they did it, but it's just the ambiguousness of it hurt me a little bit from a storytelling perspective, because like the story was fun. It was a lot of fun on its own, but just because the MCU is no longer just a single movie now, like it's hard to judge the movie outside the context of the larger universe, and with the larger his role in the larger universe being in question is like, why even make this movie? I mean,
it's the biggest. It's the third biggest film of all time at this point.
Yeah. Which is wild. That's wild.
I know. And you'd think, okay, well, it makes sense. A film of that magnitude should have more significance in the MCU. It just doesn't. So WandaVision probably had more to do with the future of the MCU than No Way Home does.
Yeah, it's bonkers the way they're doing Phase 4. And speaking of future Avengers movies, did you see Kevin Feige is like, oh, we're not making any more Avengers movies?
I wonder if that's not the way he phrased it. I don't think that was him saying that was the last one. I think that can be left up to interpretation.
Well,
but you're probably right.
It could do Young Avengers,
exactly.
West Coast Avengers. It's no longer going to be like single Avengers movie. We're just going to do like the Avengers spinoff, because I can't imagine that they wouldn't have another Avengers in the title somewhere. Although I've heard an argument saying that they don't want to do Avengers movies. That way most movies can be crossover movies, which is fine, because always in the MCU leading up to Endgame, it was always a lame excuse why like they couldn't get Iron Man or whatever. It's like, oh, they're busy. Like they would even like make a comment, oh, we're not going to even bother them.
Not even going to bother.
Yeah, it's
well. I mean, look at I mean, outside of Doctor Strange, there's no other connections outside of Happy.
Yeah,
there are other. He knows everyone. I mean, he may not have their cell number, but I mean, you would think someone would be like, oh, Ant-Man, or someone would be like, BT Dubs.
Yeah.
I can come help.
Well, yeah, exactly.
The universe is unraveling.
Of course, yeah. I mean, they could for sure. There's a couple, but just moving from Spider-Man onto other like kind of news things, because the Avengers things was kind of a news thing.
Right.
We had the Lord of the Rings TV trailer that wasn't the CGI, non-CGI trailer this time. We had a teaser. I guess
teaser
trailer. The teaser, by the way, was almost all practical. By the way.
Yeah.
It was actually carved wood and lava.
Yes, it was all practical, but it looked CG. But then they
put a lot of time and effort to make it look real, and it ended up looking fake.
It ended up looking super fake, which is really bizarre. Like, and that's what super high frame rate does, though. Like, the problem with the Hobbit movies, Peter Jackson's Hobbit movies, filmed at 48 frames per second, made everything look fake. Even even the real stuff looked super fake at 48 frames per second, which was kind of a problem. What about the Super Bowl teaser? Did you guys see that?
I did see it. I'm hesitant on where is it gonna go. I'm cautiously optimistic, obviously, of course, but there was definitely some scenes they showed in there where it could be like, maybe they could use a little bit more work. That's what I thought about it.
I agree. It's early in the process. I didn't know they even had that much filmed already. So, maybe I was. Maybe they release stuff that maybe the product going forward is going to look a little better, but by and large, same thing. Cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, rough around the edges.
I'm cautiously optimistic. There aren't as many red flags in this teaser as there were in the Wheel of Time teaser, but
have to see where it goes.
I was so burned by Wheel of Time. I
honestly couldn't get past the first episode.
Oh,
I did not. I got maybe 3/4 into it, and it was just so exposition-y that I couldn't. It was so much world building versus storytelling. I couldn't get through it.
There's a lot of world building for sure,
but it's not even like well done world building. They did awful things to the Wheel of Time on television. I really hope they can recover.
Massacred my boy.
They killed my boy.
They killed my boy.
Why? Just also a couple quick things, like Bioshock is coming to Netflix as I guess a live action movie. I really hope it's better than Death Note.
Was it a movie or a series? It's a movie, right?
I think a movie.
Is it a movie?
I think a movie.
That seems like it's awfully ambitious, even for Netflix.
It is ambitious.
I mean, again, going back to Death Note.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Death Note was the greatest.
No, not the anime, the live action.
Yeah, I know.
That was bad.
Oh, man.
That was really bad, Netflix. You should be ashamed of yourself. I really hope they don't do a Death Note to my boy Bioshock.
Well, this is super early in the process. We'll have to be waiting a couple years.
It might be a series, but I feel like it was maybe a movie. I don't know. I don't know.
Hopefully, it's not a movie.
I mean, a series would be better, because Death Note should have been a series and not a movie.
Yeah.
But Bioshock is coming to Netflix sometime in the future.
Yeah, it is.
And
so
Brian,
Fallout.
You said Fallout is being made. They made the first casting announcement. I don't remember his name, but he was in the Hateful Eight and some other things. I think he's playing a ghoul from what I saw in write up. And Brian, you said you had some news you wanted to bring up that you didn't want to tell me about early?
Nintendo. I wanted your reaction of it. So Nintendo has gone ahead and said that they're gonna, put the end of life on Nintendo 3DS games and DS games, you're not going to be able to buy them digitally anymore. Now, I'm kind of torn on it because the popular opinion is that, well, Nintendo should just keep the store up and running so people can buy their games. But also, I see the flip side of like the games are kind of older. Like, so I can't like go to the store and buy like a PS1 game. So I feel a little bit weird when people are wanting like a 3DS game that came out in 2004 still be able to be available for
Right.
purchase.
I guarantee it's 100% to do with sales. I mean, there had been I mean, obviously there's a drop off every year with
Yeah.
those games. There must not be
Making anything.
the cost it is to host and to provide those games digitally versus the actual sales and the return on investment on that is probably it's too small now for them to justify keep going with it. I imagine.
You know why they're getting rid of it on the store is just so they can turn around and sell the Switch version of it.
They said they have no
Yeah.
plans to bring it to Switch. They're
Yeah.
just like they're just killing it.
Do you know who Nintendo is, Brian?
They're a weird company.
How many times have they re-released all their old games?
I think all of them are re-releases.
Like 4 or 5 times.
they're all remakes.
As long as they're first party Nintendo games, they will come back again as a remake or remaster at some point. If not in the Switch's life, the next console's life. Because Nintendo does anything. It's repackage their old games and make you buy them again.
And over
again.
and over.
Because that's how Nintendo does.
The weird
Yeah,
Nintendo
did they say
way.
they're just not going to be available at all? I'm just wondering if that's the game plan for some of these is to rebrand them and tweak like they did with Metroid and they did with the original Mario. They just will tweak the graphics a little bit and slap them on for $20 for a download.
That's probably what makes most sense. I think I guess people just want the idea because if they're getting rid of the store, obviously they have reasons for it, not just to like screw over everybody. So maybe they might tweak it a little bit and sell it again in the future. But if they're not making money with it, I guess it makes sense to just kind of kill it.
Yeah, I think Jeff's reason is 100% why.
Yeah, that
and then my reason is also the B addendum, also 100% probably. Like I think both are are correct. Jeff's first and mine second, absolutely.
Yeah, it just makes a lot of sense.
It's their plan. I mean, it is a waste of money to host things.
I mean, they're not if they're making money. There's no reason to get rid of it.
Yeah, exactly.
But the thing is,
or if they are making money, it's not enough.
The Switch adoption rate has been so high. I'm surprised they didn't EOL the 3DS eShop years ago. Honestly,
I'll be honest with you. I wasn't aware that the digital download for 3DS was that strong to begin with.
Yeah, I didn't think it was, but as soon as Nintendo announced it, my circle of what I look at, everybody was like, "No, this is not okay. We need to preserve like our old games."
Right.
Like,
I understand the Digital Preservation Act, but most of these old DS games are going to be found in physical format. I mean, I don't think
of all the game systems me or my kids have owned over the years, DS or 3DS, we have the most games for that system than anything else. We have, dozens of.
Yeah, well, it was a really good selling
floating
thing.
Around.
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
not a 3DS expert, but I can't imagine there's any exclusive games to download only.
Right. Oh, I'm sure they're all cross, platform.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a cartridge for every single, like all the big games at least.
Right.
I can't imagine anything is locked behind digital. I don't know. But the topic at hand, this week we're discussing the Book of Boba Fett, as you may notice.
So good.
This is where Boba Fett was born, and this is where he should have stayed.
Yes.
The ye old Star Wars holiday special.
But as we always start off, we have to do our initial ratings.
And we have to defend
our initial ratings.
Jeff, would you like to start us off?
Yes. I would say I'm torn on this because I go back. I feel like you, Dave, with your Spider-Man. It's on a certain level. I enjoy, as a fanboy. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, but it was kind of a hot mess at the same time. I would say 7.5 out of 10. for me.
Okay. Okay. David, what do you got?
I'd have to give it like a 6. It is so much of a hot mess. Of if I was told as like a kid who'd just seen all 3 Star Wars movies that when you're an adult, they're gonna make a Boba Fett series, and it's gonna be the most boring Star Wars ever created, except for 2 episodes, I would not have believed that. I'm like, how could you make Boba Fett boring? He's like the coolest character in Star Wars. How could you make a show about him and it be boring? And guess what? I would have been wrong as a kid. And I
You would
don't.
have-
I feel so bad about that. I just can't. Boba Fett should have been an amazing badass show, and it was.
Not.
It was a show, I guess. Brian.
I'm going to split the difference, and I'm going to go with a 7. While it
Okay.
definitely had its problems, I enjoyed the second half, which I'm sure both of you did more than the first
Yes.
part of it. But also because Boba Fett in like Return of the Jedi was like this dude that was like he brought like a carbonated Han Solo to Jabba the Hutt, and he's like, just give me my money type of thing. Now he's like the loyal to his people now, I guess, which is like he like totally changed as a person, which I wasn't like really on board with. So that's where I'm at. I'm giving it a 7.
Look, I'm fine with character development. Give
Same here.
me some character development. You don't flip a switch. Like that's not how people work ever, unless like they've had like I don't think that's how people.
Well, this is the
Even
second
fictional characters.
This is the second Star Wars series in a row that focus on bounty hunters with little to no bounty hunting.
Exactly.
And which is okay. So Mando makes sense within the context of the story. He had something else that was, more pressing. I mean, his brief appearance in this season of Boba, he got some bounty hunting done, and it was awesome. And I kind of want to see more of that. Boba, I'm okay with him shifting gears to becoming this crime lord, but give me a show about a crime lord then.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
didn't really get much of that.
Jeff, do you remember like back in like the early aughts where before like years and years before Lucas sold to Disney that he was talking every once in a while about like a live action Star Wars TV show that was supposed to be like Sopranos meets Deadwood in space?
Yep.
And then they showed the trailer for this show and it looked like it's going to be a mafia show in space. And like, yes, this is like, it's probably not George Lucas's script because like we know they threw away everything George Lucas handed them, but the idea could have been there. And then, no, we're going to.
There was hints of potential here. I'll just make this a blanket statement here. If this show was called Star Wars Underworld, and we had, within each episode, we had a storyline that followed Boba and Fennec, and we had a storyline that followed Cobb and Freedom Town or Freetown.
Yeah.
And then we had another storyline. We bring Din back in, and we can see what he's and with Grogu, and it bounced back and forth. And we have even the gadget. What are they the Power Ranger gang? Even that
Power Ranger gang.
Yeah.
You don't even have to explain who that is because I knew exactly what you meant when you said it, and I never heard of that before.
Go Power Rangers!
Exactly what it was. Here's the thing: I love Rodriguez as a director, but he's so hit or miss. Like Desperado is one of my favorite films, and it's amazing. But then you get Spy Kids, and we got more Spy Kids in this than Desperado for sure.
Oh, absolutely! And I don't know if I've been made physically ill by watching Star Wars before. I mean, like Jar Jar kind of made me ill, but I mean, like I'm not talking about from a character or visual standpoint. I'm talking about from a camera standpoint. In the first episode, that like fisheye camera that when Fennec was running across the rooftops, I felt a little bit ill. I'm like, why would you do that? And he used that fisheye lens in every single episode he directed, and I'm like, why? It looks terrible.
He likes fish.
Oh my god, it was so bad. I
think if this show was, because I think people were, obviously people were, it's called the Book of Boba Fett, and we had 2 episodes in a row, which were the best episodes, not about him. If this show had kind of, because that way we could have, the lack of storyline for Boba would have been not nearly as clear or evident, because we had other things to kind of chop it up a little bit. I think that's where they went wrong, really. I think it was structurally, it was just a mess.
like they like ran out of like time to continue to write for Boba Fett, and they kind of like bring Mando in. We need him. We have like undiscovered things we can do with him real quick, so we
Right.
can fill out the series.
And I mean, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sorry, David. Go ahead.
Go
No,
ahead.
I was gonna say those were amazing, and those are almost some of those. Those are 2 episodes are better than some of the last 2 seasons of Mando. They're
Agreed.
amazing.
They were really good.
They were absolutely amazing, but at the same time, those episodes, I feel, as much as I love them, they do a massive disservice to the entire second season of The Mandalorian. Because the entire second season of The Mandalorian is getting Grogu to be trained to his own people, and then they've undone that before the start of season 3.
Yeah, but they kind of have to.
Here's the thing.
I understand they have to from a marketing perspective, and people won't
That's what it
watch
is.
The
And this is an
Mandalorian.
unpopular opinion, but I think Mandalorian at this point would be better off without Grogu. Really, I think Grogu's journey went where it was supposed to go. He was destined to become trained as a Jedi, and that's what, like you said, that was the whole second season, and that's where he belongs.
Yeah,
he can come back, bring him back in the 4th season.
Yeah,
let him go do his training. Let Din do what he has to do. We have an entire storyline around Mandalorian and the dark saber, and
reclaiming Mandalore, Bo-Katan.
Yeah, don't need it anymore.
Yes, yeah, exactly. That's that seemed like we were setting up that Clone Wars storyline perfectly in 2, and now are we now? Now that Grogu's back, where does Grogu fit into that story now? But you can't. How many toys are you going to sell for Mando if Grogu's not in the show?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Not as many.
That's the sad thing when like weird real life stuff is getting in the way of good storytelling. Like,
they also
can't sell as many things.
They can't have Luke have Grogu because eventually we know what happens to Luke. We're not going to have the answer of where Grogu went because they've already made the sequel to the prequel.
They painted themselves into a corner by introducing Luke for sure.
Yeah. Because we know where Luke's story ends up, and Grogu wasn't in there.
It ends in a dumpster fire.
So we're just we can't just assume that like Grogu, he died. Kylo Ren burned everything down and killed Grogu.
That's what made me mad about the end of season 2. Like, what? They just gonna kill Grogu in a fire with like?
Well, there's enough time in between those two. Yeah. I mean, it was 22 years, whatever, between those 2.
Sure.
So that's not, or however long, 20 years. There's a lot of story to tell between that to explain how he got up. It wasn't there any longer, but still. By the way, Luke looked fantastic in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, the deep fake improved.
They got the guy that did the deep fake.
Yeah, they got they got the actual guy that did it on YouTube to bring him on. That's awesome that they acknowledge, they're like, hey, you're doing it better than us.
It's also said that ILM couldn't do it themselves.
There's that too.
You're freaking ILM.
That's weird.
You're supposed to be the top dogs.
Right.
Yeah. And the stuff ILM did before digital effects just blows my mind. Like when you watch like behind the scenes stuff, Corridor Crew, the old movie Magic show from the 90s, when they discussed what ILM stuff they had to do to pull off some things. Like they were so incredibly inventive, and you had to be to pull off special effects back then. Now you can just throw it into a computer. And the fact that like they needed like relative amateurs. I mean, like, it's awesome to get the guy from YouTube, but if on YouTube it makes me think like relative amateur kind of. I don't know, like not a professional.
It is amateur. It's still amateur.
Right.
It's
good for him. That was the greatest calling card you could have made.
Yeah, that is awesome, and he looks so much better. Like he emoted more. Like he turned his head. Like it looked great. I just hate that Luke's headed back toward the dumpster fire of The Last Jedi. And
I'm curious why Luke's still wearing his black outfit, because that was the black was kind of like symbolic that he may have turned. Like that was his journey. Was he going to turn to the dark side?
Yeah.
And he ultimately didn't, obviously. But you'd think he would have, and we know he moves away from it eventually. It's weird that he's still wearing like dark side ish kind of.
He's still looking for clothes.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the robots haven't gotten to weaving cloth yet, so he's just wearing what the last thing he had.
He's just wearing what he has.
He's wearing what he has, like
I had when Ahsoka showed up with Luke and they were like handing out, I had to like constantly keep doing like a timeline check in my head because Ahsoka's like Luke's father's former apprentice, so that I had to like keep reminding myself that.
And I love Rosario Dawson. I think she's crushing it in the role, but she's also like, given the timeline, she's about 20 years too young.
Yeah,
Well,
for
I
that
mean
role.
that
If it's really she's from the Clone Wars era, then she should be a lot
a
older
little
now.
bit older.
Yeah,
but that alien race may not age like we do. I
true.
mean,
You know, that's a good call. You're right.
Grogu doesn't
Who am I to
age.
judge?
You know.
Grogu
Also
doesn't
true.
age.
Also,
Well,
Cad Bane is like 70 something. He looks exactly
Yeah,
the
that's
same.
true.
he's dope. Cad Bane was awesome.
I mean, you know what? It makes sense within the context of the story that they killed him off, but holy crap,
I didn't want him to.
He's
I was
not
so
dead.
awesome.
after he died. I was like,
Yeah.
but he
They
can
can't
still get up, right?
How many
He
people are
can-
they going to bring back? I mean, they brought back, Cobb, which is awesome because they didn't have enough of him to begin with. But they can't bring everyone back. There's
Yes,
no.
they
It's like
can. It's we're living in the outs. No one can die.
Bring-
They killed
bring 'em all
Culber in
back.
Discovery. They brought him back.
I love that Cad's voice was. They kind of made it. I mean, was it Corey Burton that plays him? They kind of made it. I won't say realistic, you know, if that's a thing in Star Wars. But they made it less cartoony sounding with the less like voice modulation on it. He was awesome.
He
He
sounded
was
cool
just
too.
so cool sounding.
He did
sounded
sound
cool. He
awesome.
looked cool. He just
I-
was a good character.
I thought he looked great. I wish they would have introduced Cad Bane sooner in the series and
They
given
should
him
have.
more motivation. Like the biggest problem with the Book of Boba Fett, like you said, Jeff, was like the storytelling, like in the presentation, the flashbacks over and over and over again to the Tusken Raiders. Like Star Wars either needs to get rid of aliens that don't talk, or give us subtitles. Give us a reason
Right.
to like care about these characters. A bunch of grunting animal thing people aren't captivating at all. It's
Well, and the
I
Tusken
don't
Raider,
care.
I was surprised how much I enjoyed the Tusken Raider
yeah,
stuff.
I like seeing their traditions and
I-
stuff.
But I didn't need like 4 episodes of it.
I could not have cared less about any of those episodes. The only good parts of the episode were like the present day stuff for me with Finnick. I love Finnick. I love Ming Na Wen. She's fantastic.
I like how she played Finnick because you kind of got the feeling that she may turn on Boba at any point.
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, she's kind of mysterious.
Yeah.
She's great. I love her, and she's the smartest person in the show.
Yes.
I kind of want a Finnick show more than the Boba Fett show at this point. Like she's smart and she's way more badass than Boba Fett. And this is a problem with Disney and Marvel and all across the board. The sliding power level of our characters. So let's go back to Mandalorian season 2. Boba Fett shows up. He makes Mando look like a chump. He makes like Mando look like a child who doesn't know how to fight, right? He
Yep.
crushed the stormtroopers amazingly. And then now he's losing to like random baby thugs in
Right,
an,
yeah.
in an alley. Like
Well, it's because he's
What?
peaceful now. He's not a bounty hunter.
Well-
He's a peaceful man.
this is like a week later. Like
And
What's
he's, I mean, at this point, he should be not only as a badass, but he's trying to be a crime. He should be like Kingpin at this point. Like, he should be just crushing
Yeah.
people.
yeah,
You
and
know.
he's like he looks like a pansy, and Finnick's got to fight all his battles for him. Like what happened to Boba Fett from the Mandalorian? That's why partly why I was so pumped for a Boba Fett show is because he was amazing
Right.
in Mando.
And I think
season 2.
a lot of people were. I'll be honest. I didn't follow the EU at all. But I mean, I know Boba's featured heavily in it, and I know people were projecting the EU Boba Fett onto this as far as their expectations were concerned. I didn't have those expectations, but like you were saying, David, it should still have followed suit from Mandalorian. Like
Yeah.
we should still be seeing that Boba Fett at the very least.
Yeah, where is that Boba Fett? Now he's sick and needs the back to tank every 2 seconds now, so we can have dreams about the Tusken Raiders. And from a narrative standpoint, if that paid off at all in the last episode, maybe it would have made it worth it. But it has no payoff. It absolutely it was.
Well, they shouldn't have. There should have been more Tusken Raiders not killed, and they should be part of the final battle.
Like it should there should have been something. There should have been some kind of payoff for all that
Right.
time spent with the Tusken Raiders. And because there's no payoff, it makes the first couple episodes even worse because
His
it was
gaffy stick-
literally there to waste time.
His gaffy stick at the very end was that was their payoff, I guess. You know, him killing bad.
Killed
with
Cad
with
Bane
it,
with it.
yeah.
Killing Cad Bane. I mean, that's a less
He's dead.
that's a less severe injury than
What do you mean less severe? He got
that's
stabbed right
a
through.
less
we
severe
know where it's
injury than Darth Maul had.
That's true.
A much
okay.
less severe injury.
And they, the idea of becoming partially robotic in the Star Wars universe is nothing new, but they are doubling down on it now.
To the
And they
point,
are really leaning into that.
to the point where it doesn't even feel like Star Wars anymore. When he took Ming Na Wen into the Ripper dock, like
Right,
from
and it's
Cyberpunk, like the dude literally had a Borg arm. Like it looked like they
Yeah.
went to the Star Trek prop shop and like, can we borrow this Borg arm? And so we can put it on one of our doctors, because it was just an oversized arm with two small, like little, like it looked like a TNG Borg arm. It was,
and I didn't like how that was handled. I don't mind that she's partially robotic now,
Yeah,
but
don't-
cybernetic. But she just woke up in the middle of the desert, and he's like, "Oh yeah, by the way," and she's like, "Oh, okay,
Cool.
I'm partially robot now."
That's how
At
this is
least give us.
supposed to be.
And she was again.
I wish
she
she
was
would've
great in the show, but
I wish she would have drank it, like water would have spilled out her like empty stomach hole.
at least give us a little a little more reaction, like grounded a little bit.
Like,
It was a little comic booky how that was handled. I thought.
Something, yeah. Some of the things, some Star Wars things can be just really odd the way they want to handle them.
What did you guys think of the dark saber? I thought they handled it really well with making it show it was like weighty
Yeah.
and heavier. I thought they did a fantastic job with that. I don't know how they did it. Maybe he was holding a stick that was
Acting.
heavy.
Well, you know what? That's one of the things that they've done a really good job with Din is that he is flawed. He's not, he gets his ass kicked, and he doesn't always, he's a very flawed hero, which is great.
Mhm.
And you see even this when he found out when the armorer told him that he was out and he was done. You felt so bad for him, and you could just see it in it. And if it wasn't him, Pedro wasn't on set at all. It was his stunt double that played him. But even physically, you could see that he was emotionally devastated by that blow. And that's what's great about the character. Like he kind of wears his heart on his sleeves, even though you can't see his emotions at all.
Yeah, it's not like he's not like this god character who can't get hurt or anything.
Right. But him even not being able to use the Darksaber as well as he wants to, it's great.
Yeah.
I just wish there was more payoff to any of this stuff. Like Grogu training Luke would have been a great opportunity for him to go learn how to use a lightsaber.
I know. And we got Yoda's lightsaber back.
Yeah, we saw. How did he get Yoda's lightsaber? I thought he lost it.
He went to Coruscant and found it in the wreckage of the Senate building with all the floating
It had
pods.
been, I guess, in the
one of the ET aliens picked it up and handed it to him one day. Because
it had been destroyed at some point, but I guess he had another one after that. Yoda did.
Oh,
I guess.
I'm pretty sure it got destroyed. His original one.
Did it? I thought he just
did at some point.
I thought it got knocked out of his hand during that battle because
they got all the lightsabers that they got after Order 66. They like brought together and like destroyed all of them, and Yoda's was one of them. So I guess he did have another one then. Who knows?
Well, you gotta have a backup. You can't just have one lightsaber. I mean, you got like your main one, but then you got your one you put up on your mantle.
Right.
This is my mantle saber.
Break glass in case of emergency.
You don't want it
lightsaber.
to turn into a bong. Whatever.
yeah.
Whatever you need.
His bong saber.
That's a thing, right? I mean, that has to exist. I'm right.
Sure.
Oh, 100%. 100%. It's somewhere out there. You got a whole galaxy to explore. We'll see that next season.
Yeah, Grogu, he just makes his bong saber. That would be great.
That'd be funny.
I want to see Grogu get high.
Grogu.
What did you guys think of the Wookiee? I don't know the Wookiee's name.
It's Chrysanthemum.
It's some weird. Yeah,
Black Chrysanthemum.
He was awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
I loved him.
I thought he was gonna die at the end, and I'm so happy he didn't.
I know.
Die.
I know. We obviously thought that was when Boba, because at the end Boba was like, you can use the chamber, and we assumed then when they do that post credit scene that it was going to be him in there, but it was Cobb, which was great.
Yep.
But no, he was awesome. I hope Mando, just like Mando featured or Boba featured a lot of Mando. I hope Mando features a lot of Boba characters. I want Chrysanthemum, and I want to see more Fennec.
Yeah, I want to see more Fennec. And Fennec, I think, is the only character that was in every single episode.
She's the one outspoken. Boba was in the one episode for like a half a second, but he didn't speak.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he was in episode 6 at all, except for the recap, or episode 5, except for the recap.
You're right. Because then
I don't think he was.
Because that was the first Mando episode, and then we only see Ming Na Wen come to recruit Mando at the end.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I know I've been kind of down on the show. I want to say what my favorite moment was of the show. Probably was the only time Boba Fett felt like Boba Fett was when he got Slave One back. Like all the other stuff was kind of janky and dumb when he like flew over the Sarlacc pit, like when he crawled out with his arm, like dumb. But the best part of the entire show, when it comes to the character of Boba Fett, was him gunning down the biker gang with a spaceship.
That was awesome.
That was the only time Boba Fett felt like Boba Fett.
What about when he was blowing up the Sarlacc pit?
I mean, Ming-Na Wen did that.
I like that scene when he was blowing up the Sarlacc pit.
He didn't blow it up. Ming-Na Wen did it.
Yeah, but it was like he started it. He initiated it.
He did it dumb. He flew the Sarlacc and then
he did do a really bad job.
The Sarlacc pit pulls down Slave One, but it is unable to pull down Lando Calrissian.
Yes.
What is the Slave One's got a different name now, isn't it? What's it called now?
It's just called Fire. Fire Spray is the class of the ship. It's like calling the.
So they're just calling it Fire Spray now.
It's like calling the Enterprise Constitution.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
It's so stupid. It's like, oh, slave's bad connotation. I'm like, it's been Slave One forever. Stop causing controversy by changing something that's been this name forever.
Oh, by the way, Mando's new ship, awesome. Super practical for someone that's a bounty hunter. I'm saying how you
kind of small, a little small.
I'm guessing we're gonna move on to the Rebuilding of Mandalore, because that ship. I mean, you think he could stuff a corpse in the R2D2 hole, but now,
I want cold or warm. They're all gonna be gold.
Yeah, they're all gonna be gold. Or like it's like Grogu. You're gonna have fun with these heads, and Grogu's like nomming on these like dead heads. I mean, like
the R2D2 hole is great.
R2D2 hole. I mean, that's what it is. It's the R2D2
hole.
I know.
There's got to be a more professional name for that, though. The R2D2 hole.
The astromech orifice.
There you go. That's okay. That's probably what it is.
Astromech orifice.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Did I make it? I think I made that worse.
Is going to be Rebuilding Mandalore.
Yeah, 100%. I'm curious about that because I feel like that's because Mandalore is destroyed. And we know he has to go to the mines of Mandalore to redeem himself. So that's, but
I don't want him. I just want him to join Bo-Katan's, because one of my favorite things in the season 2 of Mandalorian was the fact that we find out that Mando's sect is a bunch of crazy fanatics that are like religious fanatics. Right. They're not real Mandalorians, which was great to find out, because like every single Mandalorian we've ever seen in Star Wars up until the Mandalorian, they were all fine taking their helmets off.
Right.
So like,
he's in like a cult within.
How do they procreate? Do they just like bump uglies with their helmets on? It's like,
that's a good question.
Yeah, that's how you do it.
They take everything off but the helmet.
Right.
Yeah, the helmet must stay on.
Or like they don't procreate. Are they like the monks of the Mandalore? They just go abduct children and like these are our progeny now.
Yeah, right.
They're like the Jedi version of. And like
the Jedi version.
Now, the armor said there's only 3 of them left now. She meant only 3 within that sect of Mandalore.
Yeah, that was my understanding.
Right. Sure. So I mean, what difference does it make? Like at this point, they're done. Like why is he so concerned about becoming one of them again? Like there's none left.
He wants to stay true.
Well, it's just he's been indoctrinated since he's a child. He doesn't want to be excommunicated from the only thing he's known. But I mean, at the same time, you've met Bo-Katan and other Mandalorians who are fine taking their helmets off, and you might want to go do that.
Right.
Although with Pedro Pascal being in the Last of Us TV show, he may only be doing voice work. So I mean, it might be advantageous to just have his stunt double doing all the
Yeah, that's what it boils down to. That's why the character's so concerned about staying, because they need his helmet on all times.
Probably.
I guess that works. He doesn't even have to be on set anymore.
Yeah, he just could just do voiceover later.
Yeah, he can just go in his closet or in his house.
And honestly, like I don't even hear Pedro Pascal. Like sometimes when I hear Mando talk, I think Malcolm Reynolds. Like he's channeling some Nathan Fillion sometimes when I hear him talk.
I can see that.
Because I mean, like, because you can't see his face, like I'm hearing a voice, and sometimes it sounds a little malish.
It kills me that people have scoffed at the fact that he's not on set. I'm like, yeah, but I mean, Vader. I mean, David Prowse was not.
James Earl Jones was not on set.
Right. Who cares? What do you care? Like, it's historically there's that's a thing. This is how Star Wars works.
There's a precedent.
I mean, Anthony Daniels is the exception because he's, and Peter Mayhew. Oh, even Peter Mayhew. It's not like he's, it's not him doing the voice.
No.
I mean,
not.
Peter Mayhew's an excellent grunter. What are you talking about?
That's it. That's his claim to fame.
Yeah.
That's how he got the role.
Yeah.
And then his height was
he's like, speak like an alien to me, Peter Mayhew, and then Peter Mayhew did it. And it's like, wow. Although I do want to hear, I want the Star Wars special edition where all of Chewbacca's grunts are taken out and you hear like British Peter Mayhew saying like all his lines because Chewbacca had lines.
It's on YouTube.
They have a full. I've seen like a small snippet, but I want to see I want to see the entire trilogy with just Peter Mayhew's British
it's
voice.
great because you hear him and Harrison Ford like bickering. It's hysterical.
That's the thing. Like Star Wars needs to add subtitles or stop having aliens speak in weird grunts. Because I mean, I want to care about these characters, and when you don't ever know what they say, it's harder to care.
Can we just Twi'lek, the mayor's second in command there? Can we just have a whole show with Twi'lek in it? Because he was friggin' amazing.
He was fun.
He was really cool.
He was really
I loved that character so much, especially in the last episode. I'm like, I wanted to be part of this crew.
When he was standing there with the device or whatever.
Right, yeah.
And he was saying, You must leave. Do not come back.
Yeah.
Oh, he's so good. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't read this.
Right.
Not my words. Not my words.
Not my words. I didn't say this. I want to see the stapler guy more from Office Space.
Oh, Stephen Root. He was great too. I was surprised CD wasn't in more. I was expecting more in a cameo.
I was definitely expecting more from Mr. Stapler man from Office.
I like characters like that. Jennifer Beals, who obviously we're not going to see anymore.
They blew her
which is
up.
too bad.
She was my favorite character after Fennec Shan in the show.
She's gone now.
Well, I mean, if you're going to do a crime lord like show, having someone that runs the local, Ginjoid casino, whatever, that's a great character to have.
Maybe,
having someone like Stephen Root, these are great characters to keep in the show.
Max Rebo somehow escaped Jabba's sail barge. Maybe Max Rebo teleported himself and her out before the explosion went off.
Yeah,
because Max Rebo will probably have survived that somehow.
Was he there? Was he in there?
I don't remember, but I mean, like,
I think he was. I don't think he was. I don't think he was in that. Yeah, but I don't think he was in that scene. I think that when they show the band playing, I don't think you actually show him. Maybe I'm wrong.
There was definitely not a close up of Max Rebo in that scene. So I mean, who knows if he was there or not? But he survived one explosion. Maybe he survived another one. Maybe he saved the Twi'lek lady.
That's overall, his special.
Yeah,
overall, I think this show could have. We know that's how everyone. I mean, they're all robots now at this point. They're all cyborgs.
Yeah.
Everyone in that scene are all alive still, and they're all half robotic.
Yeah, they're all
just got leg and arm.
More or less fine.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be like Marvel, like the Marvel if it'd be the what if they're all like this zombie version of themselves now.
That'd be
Actually,
cool.
What if anyone in Star Wars isn't part robot?
What if?
Everyone's
What are you
part
saying?
robot. Everyone's part robot. What if someone wasn't part robot?
So, but that's pretty much where we're at right now. Like half the show is
everyone's half robot. Yeah, I know. Like I want to see like half robot Chewie, half robot Black Chrysanthemum, half robot Mayor guy. It was neat seeing like the actual Mayor guy talks at the side holes on his head. Like,
that was great. I actually really enjoyed that.
We never saw one of them talk before.
Right.
I don't remember the name of that alien.
I thought the sound effect they used was the voice was very effective because it's kind of unsettling.
Yeah, it was very unsettling. Yeah, so let's vote for him, the weird guy.
Yeah.
Well, I want to see his mayor video. I want to see some campaign slogans.
Videos?
Yeah,
A campaign video.
I endorse this video. Like I want to see his video versus the competition's video. Like I want to see how was this guy elected? This is a creepy side hole voice guy.
It's all like slander videos. That's all commercials. He just
I endorse this message.
Right.
Boba Fett is bad. I approve this message.
Another scene where Fennec was a better Boba Fett than Boba Fett was.
Yeah, she kills everyone in that thing.
Yeah.
It's great. And then the Pike guy was, and the thing is that's the one thing that could have kind of wrapped back into the first 4 episodes, but Boba Fett didn't even take revenge on the Pike guy. I mean, he did through his arm Fennec Shand, but it wasn't him. And him killing Cad Bane with the gaffy stick also too little too late because Cad Bane was in 2 episodes. It's like, for people who haven't
Right.
watched the Clone Wars, they're totally lost. I mean, I've watched the Clone Wars, and they started like nerfing the Jedi all the way back then when Cad Bane single-handedly takes on 2 Jedi basically effortlessly. What's the point of being a Jedi anymore?
It's
Right.
cool.
Like,
Sometimes it
it's
can be
not.
cool.
It's not cool anymore. When one bounty hunter can take down 2 Jedi with like no special powers, like, I'm like, it's just
I actually don't mind that they have You know what it reminds me of Crisis on Infinite Earths, when they realized Superman in the comics was getting entirely too powerful to be able to write for him. So I think the same thing. So when they rebooted the DC universe, they made Superman a little less powerful after Crisis. That's kind of how I feel what they're doing with the Jedi.
but
Like
they've
overall, I feel like they're kind of
taken them down
not-
so many
not-
pegs.
But they're kind of at one point they're almost like gods.
Well, it's
They are-
it's how they were perceived in the original trilogy because Vader and
Right.
Palpatine were so powerful, but we had no scale on how the good guys were. And then in the clone, and then
Right.
when we finally see the good guys, they're all just getting punked left and right. in
We
the
we had
prequels.
a complete novice, and we had the most powerful Jedi's or Siths.
Yeah.
So there's no in between.
Yeah, we haven't seen any like middle of the ground like pretty powerful Jedi. It's like the most powerful and like the least powerful. And because the
Right.
Jedi were at their height, they didn't try hard back then, I guess. I don't know. It's this the strict I just don't feel like there's any advantage of being a Jedi. When if you're just a bounty hunter with gadgets, you're better off.
Yeah, you can cool flips.
That's what it seems like. Right? Just a cool hat. The hat makes you better than a Force user, I guess. It just Star Wars is almost getting too big for itself. Where like it didn't establish Cad Bane at all. They just assume you know who he is.
Right,
And-
and it was a great cameo for people. I mean, they made a cameo into a significant part of the story, and he should have been much bigger,
Absolutely should have.
or had nothing to do with the at least not now, had nothing to do with the finale, really.
Like there's so many places this show could have been great if they focused on the crime lord stuff, if we had more Cad Bane, like all these little things could have like made the show so much better. And I don't understand like what was it feels like the show had like a plan and it fell apart and they had to scramble to put it. I can't say for sure, but that's what it
Right.
feels like as an audience person watching the show and being like, what are they doing?
Something had to happen. I think that's why Mando was in it, because something happened
Well,
and they didn't know what to do.
I feel like Mando was in it because they wanted to get Grogu back before season 3.
Right, I think so too.
Because my wife Kaylee, she's like, I don't even want to watch Mando if Grogu's not in it. So because Boba Fett got Grogu back with Mando, she'll watch it. So I mean, I'm sure there's lots of other people like that who like want to watch Baby Yoda.
But here's the thing: think about the first episode of Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Grogu's not into the last 10 seconds of the show.
Yeah.
It was a great episode. It was
Yeah.
a great show,
was
and it could have continued on without Grogu at that level, and none of us would have questioned it.
Yeah, I wouldn't have. Yeah,
And I love
Yeah, no.
Grogu; he's adorable. But we could do Mando without him. I think we proved it in that episode alone.
I
And even
really-
the first episode of the two, in this one, in Boba, he was awesome.
Yeah, but
Not
Grogu isn't being targeted towards us. We don't
Yeah,
need
well, that's true.
We don't need Grogu to enjoy Mandalorian.
Right.
that's the thing. And I just really wish like Jeff, what you were saying earlier, that I really wish they would have had a season without Grogu, bring him back in season 4 maybe, because it feels like I would love to have him back with Mando as more of a Jedi.
Right.
Like,
Or at least
it
have-
feels. Go
He
ahead.
definitely has some powers now.
Have the training that we saw in this episode, have that sporadically over the course of the next season.
Yeah, that way,
have
you
him-
keep him in, and it's just
Right. So Grogu's still in the show, but he's got let Mando do his thing with Mandalore,
Well, that
and
would've been
then
the way to do it.
Grogu can stay with Luke, and keep that storyline going. Every episode have like a 5-minute training montage or whatever.
Yeah, that would have been great because it feels like there's definitely been some time passed between season 2 and Book of Boba Fett because Mando's missing him. Like I hope it wasn't like the next day he wouldn't got the head and brought it in.
It's one day later.
Because that's
There's
what
Grogu.
looking
How's
at
college going, honey? I miss you.
How's it
Looking-
going?
just looking at Grogu's training, it looks like it's his first day.
Yeah.
Like when you see the montage, with Luke, it does seem like Grogu hasn't been there long and hasn't gotten anything done. Like,
We're
how
never
long
gonna
has
know.
it been? Like, I really
40.
wish
It's been 40 minutes.
it was probably 40 minutes. Or was it a week? But Luke Skywalker made like 16 stops at 16 other planets before they went back to the training planet. He had to go pick up the droids to go build the dumb huts from the Octu Island. Like,
Which somehow it all burns. Somehow that burns
all
down.
that stone,
And it's all stone.
stone.
It just burns down.
It burns really, really well.
Little known fact: stone in the Star Wars universe is flammable.
It's made of trees. Oh,
The stone comes from trees.
yes. In Star Wars, stone comes from trees. That's why it's
The
flammable.
I'm
ground-
assuming there was
ground's made out
furniture
of
or
wood.
something in there, like wicker. Yeah, like
Yeah.
or some balsa wood furniture was in there, or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Well, it burned.
All of it burned. Yeah.
I will say this: I really enjoy. I mean, I watch it with my son, and my son's 10, so I was around his age when Jedi came out. So it's great to see it through his eyes because I'm enjoying it. I think probably more than I would have if I wasn't watching with him because I'm literally it's like I'm getting a childlike joy watching it.
Yeah.
I love the last episode. There were so many problems with it though. I still loved it. I mean, like the cyborg punk guys like doing little spin moves. Rodriguez spin moves for no reason. Like there was some logic stuff that didn't make sense.
Well,
But I had blast. I was grinning ear to ear the whole episode though.
just like they were shooting the shields over and over. Like they didn't like. Why would they keep shooting it? Like
Yeah, I kept thinking that.
I was
too.
like, why? It's like he shot it 100,000 times and it didn't make a difference the first time. It's not making a difference now. Like
Right.
they were like they didn't do anything. They didn't really distract it. I don't know why it didn't kill them all, but I don't think there were any good casualties at all. Like it was just it made no sense. The
was a mess.
Rancor fight was cool, but then like it just like goes rampaging by itself, and then
And that was
Grogu's
also
gotta
weird
calm
because
it
there was like a second climax to the episode.
Yeah.
There was a shootout that was kind of the climax, and then suddenly there's a second climax with it's not he wasn't a bad guy. Like we had just gotten to like him as a creature. Now suddenly he's a bad guy.
He's a bad
suddenly.
guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was weird. And then we had the third one with Cad Bane. And
Oh
then the
yeah,
fourth
I guess there
and
was.
then the fourth one with
Yeah.
Fennec Shan killing all the other people. Like,
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I guess there were
was like
multiple.
it was
yeah.
It just kept going.
it was like Return of the King,
It just kept going.
where it's like, oh look, it's over. Oh wait, no, here's another ending.
That was
Here's
Jack
another
Nicholson.
ending.
Do you ever hear about that? Jack Nicholson didn't like Lord of the Rings because there's too many endings. I forgot who he talked to. I think it was Elijah Wood. He was talking to at an award ceremony. He's like, yeah, it's too many endings.
Well,
Too many.
Well, the thing is, like, just this a weird sidebar. Like, I do have an issue with Return of the King because Peter Jackson in the entire trilogy, I don't think he ever used one fade to black until Return of the King, and then he used it like 16 times. 'Cause you think it's over, and then it's like not over, kept going. But I don't
Right.
think he ever used a fade to black in any of the other scenes in any of the other movies.
That's funny. That's interesting.
Like
I can't confirm or deny you.
I mean, I'm not 100% sure. I just remember thinking this back when the movie was new. I'm like, why is he all of a sudden using? Because like, I mean, my college friends were wanting to make like home movies and stuff like that. We're looking at editing software and like like different effects you can do. And I'm like, why is he fading to black so much? I don't feel like he's done fade to black at all in this trilogy. Now we're seeing it 20 times in the last 20 minutes of the movie.
It's that or the Star Wars swipe.
Oh, the Star Wars
Star
swipe
Wars
is
swipe.
always gotta have that.
Wee-
Oh man. So I mean, like,
I'm looking forward to Mando season
Yeah.
3. Again, I think we could have done it without him and Mando Grogu being together quite so soon.
yeah.
Their reunion was kind of anticlimactic too after the build up for those 2 episodes where
He
like,
just kinda
it's like, oh
showed
yeah,
up.
It's
look,
like-
here you are in the back of the
and-
What are you
scene.
doing
now,
here?
And now it's like and now it's like a chase scene with like the droid pulling the cart or whatever, and it's just like, oh, okay.
And
Go
it-
faster, you bucket of bolts.
It was weird that Peli, she was the one that that's how it was revealed that he chose the armor versus the chainmail
Yeah.
versus
That felt weird. That felt
Yeah,
weird
she's
that
like,
they
"Oh,
gave
look
him
what you have on."
chainmail.
Yeah, look at what you're wearing. And I'm like, oh, that's what you decided apparently. Okay,
Mithril.
It's mithril.
Got to go back to Lord of the Rings. Oh, we haven't made Dune references yet. All the spice must flow, and it's the exact same orange color as the spice melange from the Dune.
it was a weird
movie.
choice
Like,
to make.
like why? Like, I
It's
don't
a whole
think, I feel
No,
like we've
let
never
the spice flow.
I feel like we've never seen Spice before. I mean, I know they went to the Castle Spice Mines in Solo. But I don't remember if we saw the Spice, but we saw the Spice several times in this show, and it's freaking orange, just like it is in Dune.
They watched
Right.
Dune, and then they were like, "Let's do that."
Denis Villeneuve can't fail. If we copy Denis Villeneuve, we'll be fine.
Oh, something else. I mean, it's established. It's been around since however long in the
77,
Star
yeah.
Wars world. Yeah, but I don't know, or do something. I don't know. It was weird that they
Make
kind of
it
doubled down
blue,
on that.
something like
Right? Yeah.
like it's Star Wars.
Blue
You can make
Spice.
it a different color. It doesn't have to be exactly the same color as it is in Dune.
All right.
It does. It matters because now there's Dune. Now we can make a Dune reference. They did it for us. That's what they did it for. They did it so we can make a Dune
They did it
reference.
for the Dune fans.
Exactly.
Gotta love Dune.
Well,
Like,
I think. Oh, you got something else?
Yeah, I was just gonna say I agree. I'm looking forward to Mando season 3. Looks like Obi-Wan's coming out. Another show set on Tatooine.
I'm not
How
gonna lie to
many
you. Though,
planets are there in the Star Wars galaxy? One? Is
I
it
know.
is,
Yeah,
is, is
there's
it a
Tatooine.
galaxy of one planet?
Yeah,
I
Tatooine.
think Ewan McGregor kind of hinted that they'd be off world for this. I think they're leaving Tatooine for a while. He'll come back obviously, but I think they'll be
Thank
gone. Which
God.
he's not super like. I've seen a couple of clips of him recently talking about it because they're done filming, and he's like, "Yeah, I think people are going to enjoy it. I think it'll satisfy the fans." He's not like super enthusiastic about it.
That's not good.
That's
He's not selling it well at all.
That's a bad sign. I mean, I'm not super looking forward to an Obi-Wan show because I just don't feel like we need an Obi-Wan show. Like we've had him in Rebels, like he killed Darth Maul again. So I mean, like I feel like we've kind of like an Obi-Wan. Like if we get a Book of Boba Fett season 2, I really hope they lean a lot harder on the crime lord stuff. Let's go to Nar Shaddaa. We've never been to Nar Shaddaa.
Do you think we're gonna get a Book of Boba Fett season 2? I don't think we're going to.
I don't know.
I think they're going to take elements of Boba Fett and jam them into Mandalore.
Into Mando. I think that's what they're gonna do.
I mean, like it'll be more of a crossover show, which is fine. But like, let's go to Nar Shaddaa. Let's see the Hutt homeworld. Let's get more into the crime.
It's too much CGI.
Show.
They're not going to do that.
Let's get into the.
We're never going to see the Hutts again. I guarantee it. It's just too much CGI.
That's too much.
I'm surprised we saw them as much as we did.
I just really want to see Nar Shaddaa, and I was so like just with Danny Trejo. I was so sad he only had like a 2-second cameo in like the entire thing.
He just stood.
I was really hoping we'd see more of him with the Rand car and stuff like that. That would have been great because
again, being a Rodriguez fan, it was great to see him. It was always great to see Danny Trejo, but I'm like, I feel like if he's a regular character, it might take it away.
It definitely pulled me out. It pulled me out.
No, he should have been in the fight scene with a machete, killing people, so we could finally get machete kills in space. Give it to me.
Okay,
I need machete kills.
I take back what I said. He should have been in the finale.
I mean, don't you want machete kills in space? We've got machete in space, but we haven't seen him kill anything. Come on, give it to me. Like he's there. Let's bring him back.
Just do it.
Boba Fett
just
season
do
2.
it.
Like just a whole episode about Danny Trejo's character just murdering people because they insulted his Rancor or whatever. Like, come on.
That's great. It was a great role for him. It was perfect for him.
Yeah, it is perfect for him.
Man, give me.
He definitely does take me out of Star Wars a little bit because then I just start seeing Danny Trejo.
What you just see a severed head on a turtle?
What?
You never watched Breaking Bad?
I didn't finish it actually.
Oh, look, Danny Trejo's in like 2 episodes, and like he's like.
I didn't know that.
He's like this gangster guy. He's like trying to make a deal with the DEA, and like he's like trying to get like under cigars or something. Like, and so like, but then like the cartel finds out, and so they cut his head off and put it on the back of a turtle because Danny Trejo's nickname was Turtle. So, but they also rigged the turtle to explode with dynamite or something. And so when the DEA agents are investigating the turtle with Danny Trejo's head, it explodes and kills a bunch of DEA agents.
Okay,
that's just why I like brought Danny Trejo's head on the turtle.
Was he? Does he have his tats? Did you see his tattoos in the show? I don't remember.
In Breaking Bad?
No, Boba Fett.
No, I don't think so.
I can't remember.
Yeah, he's not in it very long. I don't remember.
No.
People wear an awful lot of clothes for being on a desert planet with 2 suns. Gotta say.
Well, they don't want to get sunburned.
But man, they're just sweaty. Everyone stinks.
Hey, they do
I
it
will
in
say this
Dune
though,
too.
they're what's the where they shoot the thing is called? I forgot what it's called. The circular the sound stage they shoot on for the
I
show
don't
is.
remember what it's called, but I think more shows should start doing that as long as you don't
It,
use the.
I would never. If you told me this show was completely shot on location everywhere, I would believe you because it looks astounding.
Well, same thing with
Yeah.
Mando. Mando looks
Yeah.
amazing, and that's all like, and it's like Unreal Engine, I think they use.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
they can
Yeah,
change things
they're
on the
using Unreal
fly.
Engine.
yeah. It's amazing. They can. Yeah, it's amazing.
It
Like-
looks super real.
Like going back to Bioshock, that's how they should shoot Bioshock.
They
You know
might.
what?
It is
Yeah,
a video game.
Yeah.
They started with a video game.
I mean, yeah, and it's also using Unreal Engine. You can import the assets and just make some new textures for them. I mean, like you can do some really cool stuff, like amp
Well,
up
they
your
would have
CG
to
a little
update the
bit.
textures.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like you could import some assets. I mean, that way it'll look and feel like Bioshock. They could do lots of stuff. That technology.
David, you're
is
putting
so amazing.
logic. You're using logic. Stop using
No!
logic. Logic is what fails you.
I can't help. I know. I put up this image just because he said he's ridden in regards to the Rancor. I've ridden these 10 times that size. There
Which
it
is great. It was a super fun reference.
Call back to Star Wars Holiday Special. Hence my background. I feel like I've been called to explain my backgrounds the last couple episodes.
Always picking something different.
Yeah, always got to be next level. Think meta.
All
You're free
right.
to wrap up the show now, Brian.
Well, I think we've reached the end of our Mandalorian discussion. If no one has anything left top of mind,
I'm good.
we're free. We can't think of anything else.
Thanks, guys, for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thanks for
Glad to
being
have
on.
you.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah, it was
fun.
awesome.
You want to come back for Moon Knight whenever that's
I'd love
out-
to.
out and
Yeah, I'm
done?
really looking forward to it.
Yeah, that'd be
When
fun.
does Moon Knight start?
I think it starts in March. So I mean, like, I
pretty
assume
soon then.
it'll be over in April
May?
or May.
Yeah,
So then once that's over, we'll same thing as we're doing here.
happy to come on board.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
That'd be fun.
All right, thanks,
right.
guys.
Thank you for for all listening. Thank you for joining us, Jeff. It's been a lot of fun. It's been too long, so Moon Knight's
Yeah.
sooner rather than later. So that'll be good.
Email David at Synthaholics
It's
at
really just-
yahoo.com.
Please do. Mostly all I get is spam mail, and then we'll read it on the air. There's that. Well, take care, everyone. Live long and prosper. May the best guard be with you.